Okay. Here we go. How are you, Christine?
I'm well. How are you doing, Alyssa?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy
Good.
Tuesday.
Yay.
So today we're talking about like my favorite thing in the world that I don't get enough of, which is sleep and rest,
You're
right?
not alone.
I know. I know I'm not alone. It's crazy. And we're talking about what it has to do with our pain and our inflammation, which is a lot because it affects like every system of our body, right?
It affects every system. Yeah, I think one of the big misconceptions or misunderstanding people have, and I was in that boat too before I started doing this work, is sleep time when we go to bed is purely just so I don't feel tired, which is a great thing. Absolutely. I don't want to feel exhausted all day too, but your body is really hard at work when you're sleeping. That's when your body is repairing, is restoring, like you said, all the different systems in the body. And without that, boy, talk about inflammation, talk about pain. We're going to have it. We're going to have it. So it's so much more than just, oh, I'm tired and run down, which is an important factor too.
Right. Right. And I think it's kind of interesting too, because it kind of talks also to when we look at everything else, right? Which is we're treating like the symptom. So it's almost like fatigue is kind of like the symptom, but
Right.
really we want to really make the sleep and the rest actually work for our body and our system, which is going to, like you're saying, be beyond just feeling rested.
Right.
Right.
It's why do I have that fatigue? No different than my shoulder pain, my back pain. Pain is actually your friend. I know that sounds wacky, but pain lets you know, hey, something's wrong. Stop this before I really stop you in your tracks. The problem with pain is it doesn't let you know what is wrong. So a lot of times people focus in, they zero in on that pain spot, which I understand, but it's not always the problem. And fatigue, just like pain, is a symptom. So something's not operating optimally in the body. And the key to that, the key to pain, the key to inflammation, the key to fatigue is what's not working right. How can we optimize that? Maybe we don't get 100%, but heck, I'll take 80% over 40%.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to talk a little bit to how sleep helps?
Sure. So sleep is essential for our health, for our good health. We need it to survive, just like we need food or water to survive. When we're at sleep, again, when we're at rest, for the average human, if there's such a thing, we need 7.2 hours of sleep at night. The time you sleep makes a difference as well. So you'll notice a lot of people that work, the night shift, they work overnight, tend to have a lot more issues, more physical issues, more autoimmune issues. The time we sleep makes a difference. Everybody's familiar with the circadian rhythm. We are designed to sleep at night. But that's when the brain is storing new information. It helps to get rid of toxic waste. So things like, brain fog, I'm not memorizing things as well, or I'm just not clear. I'm kind of foggy headed, that foggy brain. During sleep, that's when your cells are communicating with each other. That's when they're reorganizing. Without our cells, that's our basis. That's who we are. It helps the cells to repair, to restore. It helps with energy. It's a release of hormones. Yeah. And I think a lot of people tend to think of hormones only with women. Right. We all have hormones. We are made up of hormones and other things as well. But that doesn't exclude men. Men have hormones as well. So that's a really important part in how we function, in how we feel. How much pain do I have? How do I deal with that pain? How much inflammation do I have in my body? And inflammation really is at the root of pretty much all of our illnesses. We give them different names depending on what structure it might be bothering. It's the heart. Okay, so it's a cardiac issue, but it's all inflammation at its root, and really getting to the root is the key. During sleep, that's when your muscles are repairing. That's when muscle growth happens. So maybe you're trying to put on muscle mass, or you just want to feel well. We need that sleep. So important. The body is not going to function well without that repair and restore time. Super important.
Absolutely. And I always like to use the analogy of like a dishwasher. It's almost like, at night, it's kind of like when you're sleeping, it's kind of like the dishwasher's running, where it's cleaning out all the cells, cleaning out whatever it doesn't need, and just cycling everything through. That's literally what's happening.
That's a great.
And I love this phrase, you can train your body to sleep less, but you cannot train your body to need less sleep.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the things I know for so many, I'm sorry,
Oh, no,
so many people, and I was in this boat myself, and it sounds really wacky. Like a lot of people, especially as you get older, I'm a little bit older than you, oh, I have to get up at night to go to the bathroom. I was in that boat.
Yeah.
You can actually train yourself, like you're saying, train yourself to do that or not to do it. And I had a period where I said, no, you know what? I'm not going to get up. I'm not going to go to the bathroom. I mean, obviously, if I'm drinking a lot before I go to bed, then I have to. But, you stop a few hours, 3-4 hours before bedtime.
When I was pregnant, I just stopped drinking water, I think at like 3 p.m.
Yeah.
I would like take a sip and like just swish it in my mouth and like, oh, anything to sleep more than
Yeah, because you get nerve impingements and all of those sort of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you train your body. You absolutely are right.
Ooh, we got a lot of good questions over here. And hello, everybody watching, whether you're watching live or watching later. We've got our fun little group here. Okay, so Ekta wants to know, what can we do to get a good night's sleep? We'll definitely be covering that. My anxiety goes crazy when I don't sleep well. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, you can't do anything good when you haven't a good night's sleep. And I think any mother or anybody, any human that has had sleep trouble knows that, right? It's actually when I meant to say too before, when you were saying that, we need sleep just like we need food and water and everything else. You can actually survive longer without food than you can without sleep.
Yeah, sleep plays a huge role in your emotional well-being. Your emotional well-being. We're all cranky if we don't get sleep, or just more sensitive if, again, the cognitive issues come into play. And again, playing with the hormones. Sleep and hormones have a huge role. Hormones and anxiety, depression, any emotion.
Yes.
That's all a hormone-based thing. It's all a chemical-based reaction in the body.
Right, absolutely. And it also, when we kind of tie it back to energy as well, right? When you're well rested, you have more energy. Your body has more energy to spend repairing things on your immune system. Actually, when you're sleeping at night too, is when your body is making and releasing cytokines, which are important in our immune system, in our immune health. So and you know what, to be honest with you, I'm sure there's nobody watching this like saying like, I don't think I need sleep that much. So I know we're probably just like beating a dead horse with the reasons why you go to sleep. So I guess we could move on to like how you sleep, because
how to get better sleep.
Yeah. Or and this is a good point too, Act. I love that you brought up, how can we support our bodies when we haven't had a restful night due to circumstances? That's huge, because truly at the end of the day, we do only have so much control over our bodies, our environment, right? Like, and what's happening, I shouldn't say our bodies, but our circumstances, like Ekta said. So so that's very true. So we can talk about that too. So first, in terms of sleep, how to get enough of it, some like general tips. Obviously you mentioned like bedtime, right? All right, this is when I have to go to sleep just so that I can like not feel, super tired when I wake up the next day. But routine, it plays a really important role in your ability to sleep, to fall asleep, to stay asleep, that sort of thing. So routine is a way that you can actually train your body to fall into some healthy habits so that it just becomes natural. So that could be going to bed around the same time every night. That could be creating a ritual at night, such as like maybe it's always washing your face, or like, I think you use essential oils too, don't you, Christine? Yeah. So, love the oils before bed, to help to induce that sense of relaxation and everything else. And, and limiting TV, screen time, blue light, right? All that sort of thing. Like you said, not drinking water right before bed. That's huge if you're already going to be getting up every night. And there are different relaxation exercises. Make sure you get exercise, your physical exercise. There's a lot that you can do. Anything to add to that?
I think you hit a lot of the good ones. The routine is super important, especially now with so many people at home, if they're, not able to go to work. Keeping that routine, even on the weekend, go to bed about the same time. You don't have to be, to the minute, and getting up at the same time, even on that weekend, keeping that routine. Natural sunlight, huge for so many reasons that we don't have time to get into right here, but get outside in the natural sun. The artificial light that we all have, and I'm grateful for, does a number on our circadian rhythm. Caffeine, I think most people know, like you mentioned, blue light from our phones. A lot of people, myself included, I like to be on my iPad in bed. It's terrible for you.
No.
You know, if you have to turn down the blue light blocker, all the iPads have
Yeah.
it, the device have it. Get some blue blockers. Those are really good for you. Ideally, we read, but I don't know too many of us that live in the ideal world. Increasing your exercise, that movement, all super, super important, you know.
Yes. Yes. I'm glad you brought up the blue light blocker. I didn't realize that iPhones, I'm a Droid person.
Ah.
But there are, you can, even for your laptop, and I'm sure any product now, you can actually download apps that have a blue light filter, and they match up with the time of day and your
Right.
time zone. So they'll, like mine will, like, I always know when it's getting late because
Your screen
my
didn't-
screen will start changing colors. I'm like, all right, I gotta go to bed soon, you know. So,
Yeah.
you know, so there are things like that that can help assist, that take the reminding out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like what you said too about the weekends, making sure that you're following to an extent, right? The what, you know, your routine that you're following then, because I know for me, whether it's eating, exercise, sleep, whatever, things do kind of sometimes go off the track. And it's, you know, and if sleep is not really a problem for you, then that's not really something you need to focus on either. But if you're in a place right now of like a lot of pain, a lot of inflammation, being more consistent and I don't want to say strict or regimented by any means, but the more but the more consistent that you can be with it, the better the effects are going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping that schedule, keeping the bedroom a little bit cooler is
Yeah.
helpful. Yeah, all of those things. There's all those sleep hygiene things that are really easy to find. Make a huge difference. Heck, if you really can't sleep, pick up a medical journal and read that. That'll put you to sleep in no time.
Or Lord of the Rings. I know my mom is watching. I literally gave her my Lord of the Rings book because puts me to sleep every time.
Yeah.
Literally, I love the
Yeah.
movies. I want to
Yeah.
read the book so bad, but it was just put me to sleep. So pick up Lord of
If
the
you've
Rings.
got the mind that's racing, sometimes you know what? Okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to write my notes down. Get it out of your brain. Otherwise, for many of it, I have this problem. I'll fixate on it. I can't not think about something. I have to just go and write it down so I won't forget tomorrow, because I can easily forget things and I get almost anxious about that. So
Absolutely.
write it down.
Am I going to remember this? Yeah. Or what
Yeah.
about that other thing?
Yeah.
Always. Oh, especially for me, like if I wake up at like 4:30, you
Mm.
know, like that's when those things usually kind of start to come into my mind. So yeah, having
Yeah.
somewhere to write them down to get them out of your mind is great. And this is, I think, when, like, as we've been talking about this whole month, you can't pull apart your body systems, right? You can't say, all right, it's just going to be this, like, because what you're describing too is that anxiety and that stress. So we also need to bring in some stress management and some,
Right.
you know, emotional management and things like that. My mom says journaling before bed, very helpful for me.
Absolutely.
Yes, great. And actually, as you guys are watching, if there are other tips or are other things that you do that have been helpful, throw them in there. It's
Mm.
great. We all have different things that work for us.
Yeah.
And you know what we want to try to avoid is going the medication route. If you can avoid that, because especially with sleep, that you do build dependency on it. You know, it's an unnatural way to do it. So no judgment if that's what you use or that's what helps for you by any means. You know, sometimes you do just need to get out of the habit of not sleeping every night, you know. So if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. But there's a lot of other stuff that you can do. Oh, ecta calming music. Ecta, I think I remember you saying once before, theta waves specifically.
Yeah.
So theta waves, binaural beats, there are actually certain frequencies that do induce a state of rest and sleep. So thank you for bringing that up. That's super helpful. And then Sandy asked about tossing and turning. Does tossing and turning a lot at night mean anything? I sleep with a CPAP, full mask, and often wake up with the with the hose wrapped around my neck. Well, that's uncomfortable.
Then be good to wake up.
Yeah. Any suggestions to avoid constant tossing and turning?
Part of that is making sure that your sleep situation is as comfortable for you as it can be. Some people prefer a really soft mattress, some prefer a harder mattress. So getting what works for you, and I think that's very individual, keeping the room cooler. CPAP leads you into a whole nother thing. I don't know anybody who really loves their CPAP machine. They're not comfortable, they're awkward. Some of them are very gangly. There's work that you can do for sleep apnea as well, some of the other work that I do. But just getting your situation as comfortable for you as possible. Usually we move in sleep. There's many different reasons, but usually it's because we're uncomfortable. Oh, I'm laying on my side and my shoulder's getting just sore. I might not even be conscious of it, but subconsciously my body's saying, okay, let's give that a break.
Mhm.
Trying to keep your body in a neutral position, keep your spine in a neutral position is really important, especially when we're talking about pain. We spoke about low back pain or neck pain. You want to have that spine as neutral as possible. So checking the height of your pillow. If you're a side sleeper, you need a little bit higher pillow to kind of cover this gap from the head to the shoulder. If you're a back sleeper, which is your ideal position, you want a very thin pillow, just to keep that spine neutral. Makes a
Mhm.
huge, huge difference.
Absolutely. And I like even exactly what you said. Everybody's going to have different comfort levels and how they prefer to sleep. And I've heard this before too, sleeping on your left side as opposed to the right is better for circulation. Is that true? Or do you know?
I don't know if that's true. I have heard that in regards to digestion. That's kind of
Oh,
a
okay.
Chinese theory. I'm not really well educated on that.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Again, I think you have to play around and see what works for you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then and props, right? In terms of finding comfort in sleep. So maybe it's a pillow under your knees, maybe
Hmm.
it's like you're saying, a specific pillow under the head, something that really helps you. For me, during pregnancy, I had one of those pregnancy pillows, which I think it looks like a seahorse, so it's like it goes under the head and it goes under the knees. A pillow between the knees is very good if you're sleeping on your side to keep your hips in alignment. And I
Good.
tell you, if our bed was big enough, you bet your ass that thing would be back in bed with me right now. Like that was real comfortable. So yeah, whatever kind of pillows and stuff. But I think that's a really good point, making yourself as comfortable as possible so that your body is not telling your mind isn't telling your
Oh
body
yeah.
it's right, change positions in the middle of the night. So yeah,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
great. That's great. Good. All right. Sandy, I hope that was helpful. Yes, the CPAP is really uncomfortable. Yeah. Okay. And then Ekta had asked before too, in terms of like, let's say you didn't get a good sleep, because I know Ekta's got a little one, two at home and one very little one, which they all tend to do that to us.
Yeah.
So tips for feeling more, getting through a day if you haven't had a lot of rest.
Yeah. And I think kind of almost to segue a little bit from that, why someone doesn't sleep is very important. If you're not sleeping because you have a noisy neighbor or your little one's waking you up, that's one issue. If you're not sleeping for more of an internal factor, then that's something that you can look at to help you. But we all have a night when we don't sleep well. I think the most important thing is to kind of honor that and say, you know what, I just don't have the energy today. And maybe you had a list of 20 things that you wanted to do. I'm only going to get 10 or 15 done. And try and erase well, I should do. Get the shoulds out of your language, because it just feeds that sleep deprivation cycle, because then we get all anxious. Well, shoot, I should have done the laundry today, or I should have done this. And we tend to ruminate on it. Yeah, honestly, I don't know if you've had a really restless night for whatever the reason, if there's any kind of magic bullet for that other than respecting it. Sometimes, I just don't have the energy today. I'm not going to do quite as much, or I'm going to put that off till tomorrow. And it's okay. It's
Right,
okay.
right. I think another important aspect of that as well is, we talked about the hormones and how sleep affects the hormones. Well, part of that is your hunger and your fullness, right?
Mm,
Ghrelin and leptin. So
absolutely.
when you haven't slept well, regardless of the reason, your body's cues are all going to be off. So one thing that what your body's going to crave and tell you that you want or need is going to be different than what its actual physiological needs are. So I think when you're not sleeping, again, for whatever reason, or we'll say like this, circumstantial, not related to, internal reasons, then paying attention to what you're eating. Are you eating foods
Mm,
that are going to be giving you more energy, or foods that are going to result in you crashing? So getting
right.
into fruits and vegetables, the nuts, they have a lot of magnesium and things like that, which can also be really good for sleep. Just make sure you have all that in your system. And staying hydrated, very important for energy levels. And if you're able to, take a power nap.
Mm, Mhm.
less than 30 minutes, like 20, I think is right, is about, I think it's like 15 to 20 minutes or something like that tends to be a good length of time. Even if you don't actually sleep, just
Just
resting it a
rest.
bit will
Yeah.
make a big difference. Things
Yeah.
that might make it more challenging, even though, and I know Ecta, this won't be specific to you, but um, caffeine. Like if you go right for caffeine as a way
Mhm.
to manage that fatigue, it's something we all do. Like we all go right to like, I just need more
There's
coffee
nothing.
today. That's also going to, create a cycle. One thing, your body's going to become used to it, so it's not going to have the same effect over time, and then you're going to become a little bit more dependent on it, and it becomes more of like you're having it to maintain homeostasis rather than
Right.
get you
That
above to a
balance
better
state.
feeling. Yeah,
Yeah.
so just for anybody that's dealing with that, just be cautious of that, especially if you are having trouble getting to fall asleep and staying asleep, not having that too
Mhm.
late at night. Even alcohol
Yeah.
can ruin your sleep, even though you think like, oh, I slept like a rock. Like actually the quality, and when we get
The
into like
quality.
of the sleep, you're not going to be sleeping as well and stuff. So
Yeah. And one of the things with alcohol is it's great for helping you fall asleep,
right.
but it wakes you up.
Oh yeah.
It's,
Especially
it
if you had
doesn't,
way too much.
yeah, does
Yeah,
not
because then you
keep
wake up
you
with
with,
a stomachache too, and that's not fun.
yeah,
Yeah,
whole
and
other
headache,
host of
and I could go
issues.
on and on. Yeah. Um. Oh, Sandy, I think my last nap was 4 hours. I was in a lot of
Ah,
pain. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and that can be tough, and especially like you're Sandy, you're describing, you're not able to sleep at night because of the CPAP, and you're tossing and turning, and all of that stuff. That's going to it's a power nap, yeah, may not feel as restful, like you may find yourself, and then it kind of becomes like a pattern, right? Then you're sleeping a lot during the day, you can't get it all at night and stuff. So the other thing I wanted to mention, just because we did talk about building a routine, getting to bed at a certain time, and so on and so forth, I just want to put this out there because I know tons of people sometimes jump a little bit too far into how quickly you're trying to make a change. So let's say right now you're going to sleep at 11 o'clock every night, 11 p.m. And based on when you have to wake up in the morning and you want to get 7 to 8 hours, you have to go to bed, let's say by 9. If you're going to bed around 11 every night and you try to go to sleep at 9 o'clock the next day, you are going to
Okay.
lay in there for 2 hours feeling frustrated
Yeah.
and like, oh my God, I'm trying to do this, blah, 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 blah. So 15 minutes is a good increment to start pushing it back. So start 10:45, see how that goes. Then 10:30, then, so make it a gradual transition. Unless you're already tired and you just haven't made a priority to get to sleep, that could be
Right.
a different story. But
Right.
just some things I want you to kind of know ahead going into it. So if you're like, well, this isn't working, like, why isn't that happening? So, so just some other things like that. Even though I know we talked about try not to drink too much before bed, but honestly, for me, I love sleepy time tea.
Mm.
I love
Yep.
like chamomile or
The
a lavender
chamomile.
tea or something herbal like that. That does help me relax because for me,
Mhm.
you can't tell, I got a lot of energy, a lot of high energy. So sometimes for me, it is hard to wind down. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah. And actually, you said, going to bed when you're ready. Yeah, absolutely. So even listening to your own body's cues. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a really nice point that you hit on is tiny little action steps. If I go to bed 11, 9 o'clock's a huge jump. Take tiny little steps like you mentioned. That's important with almost all of our health things. Tiny little steps. It's, so often it's the more things we get in the positive column, the better. And it's that cumulative effect.
Right, right. And I think the fact too that what we do every day, we do out of habit because that's how we're used to doing things. And
Mm,
when something becomes a habit, we don't really have to think about it because it's autonomic, right?
right.
Autonomic. So if you start to slowly do these things, they become a habit, then you don't really have to think about doing it anymore,
Yeah.
right? So if you can do things little by little, it's going to feel less daunting. It's going to feel
Mhm.
less invasive to your time,
And you're more likely to do it.
and you're more likely to do it, right? And if it's something that you try that you really hate, stop doing it. It's
Right.
not
It's not
everything is
for
for
you.
everyone. That's where we're throwing like just a shitload of tips for you because hopefully something works, hopefully
Yeah.
something resonates, and hopefully something helps is what we hope for you.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I know we keep saying we're going to do these for 10 minutes but we just, get too,
There's so much you can say.
there's parts I know. And we all, If we didn't even get, anyway, there's more. That's okay. There's always time. There's always,
There is.
so let's see. Yeah, I think we got everybody's questions. All right, very good. Well, again, guys, we are here bringing you as many tips, as much information as possible to help you on your journey. I think that next week, I believe, is when we're talking about ANF therapy.
ANF, which is fabulous for sleep apnea. I'll just throw that out there.
Yes. Yes.
Fabulous for sleep issues, pain and inflammation. They all tie together. They
I
all
don't think
have
there's one
inflammation
thing.
at their
Yeah.
base.
Yeah.
When you have an inflamed body, you do not fall asleep. You have an inflamed body, you do not lose weight or gain weight. If you know,
Oh, the
assuming
weight
everything
factor I'm
else
gonna
is
bring up
the
too,
same.
but we'll be talking more.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's next week. And please remember to like this, share it, comment if you're watching later, and make sure that you are attending our pain and inflammation series to make sure that you get alerts every time that we're live on here. So once you do that, that's all golden. And again, chronic pain and inflammation is our whole theme this month. But if lower back pain, chronic lower back pain is your issue, then next Wednesday, we have our 90-minute workshop that Christine, myself, and Dana, the acupuncturist, Chinese medicine doctor, we're all going to be teaming up for that. So we're going to be going into more depth, more specific stuff, and then you're going to have that action plan. So if chronic lower back pain is why you're tuning into these, then please look into attending that, because you'll get a lot of benefits from it. All right.
Sounds good.
Everybody, enjoy your day, and thank you so much. Thanks for joining, Christine.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Alyssa.
Bye.
Bye-bye.